Hey everybody, Professor Snart here checking in as we continue on with our quick moving online course. It is Wednesday as I'm recording this, and we are about halfway through week 2 already. It's hard to believe. So anyway, let's take a quick look at our due dates to see where we're at. We moved really quickly through our introductions, and then the Unit 2, a pretty brief discussion board, into Unit 3, which I had mentioned earlier, one of the most, I think, fundamental or kind of foundational units for us in terms of a concept that we learn that we'll then be applying really throughout the term. And now we move on to Units 4 and 5, and really Unit 6 that are all kind of leading us up to our first essay, which in the 5-week format is a combined unit. It's just the one essay, but that's why it combines a couple of things that we otherwise might spend a little bit more time on. So anyway, the shape of the essay, then, you will have discovered that that again is hopefully, in reviewing this material here, you'll hopefully see how it will inform just about everything that we do as far as formal writing in the course, whether it's that paragraph assignment here or the full-blown essay. So Unit 4 then is kind of a lot of content. Once you finish Unit 3, you'll get some kind of generalized feedback here, maybe pointing to some common mistakes that you might have made. Here there's a student, a sample essay analysis that we're doing, kind of pointing out some of the things that that the essays that we'll write for class have. This is a good exercise in, before writing your own, you're kind of looking at an example, and there's a quiz that's associated with that. And then we look at some of the component pieces, some of the major ones that we'll be dealing with. Thesis statements, obviously really important for us. Just because we're writing about literature doesn't mean that everything's your opinion, or you're just doing a subjective kind of like, I like this, I didn't like this. We still develop thesis statements. So of course this is just material that you read on your own time, but make sure you're paying attention to it. So as we get closer to that first essay, again, hopefully you can keep in the front of your mind that when you pop into a unit like this and you see a bunch of text, I know it's not super exciting, but this is the content that I look for applied in the essay. So you can't just skip or breeze through this and then hope to get it right in the essay. It's something that, it really doesn't take that long, but you certainly need to spend some time with it. So you can't just go scrolling through for like the thing you're supposed to actually do, rather than just read some of this stuff and then hope to get it right on the essay. Another brief quiz based on a reading that's actually embedded, another PDF here. Again, thinking about the essay kind of holistically or as a combination of various pieces rather than jumping right into trying to write one ourselves. And then another brief discussion board on the short story Flight Patterns, which, is an interesting story. I think it's pretty accessible, but it's also a good opportunity for us to practice the habit or the activity of close reading. So you're looking for, so you probably won't use flight patterns for any of your essay material. Instead, what we're doing here is reading closely for particular kinds of details. And so when we do finally write an essay, and even in discussion board posts up to this point, part of what you're doing is really that concept from Unit 3, that whole shape of the essay idea or shape of a paragraph, is taking specifics from a reading, like quotations, for example, and coordinating them effectively with topic sentences like they would appear in a body paragraph, and then of course a larger thesis statement, right, which we're covering here, that will shape your whole essay. So hopefully you'll begin to see how all of these little pieces are beginning to fit together as we work towards that larger piece, our first essay. It also might strike you as a bit strange that if you look again at our due dates, our first major essay, again, because we move so quickly through the 5 weeks, it doesn't come until quite late, it might feel like, in the course. This is intentional on my part, so I don't want to go and assign an essay up in Unit 2, for example, when we haven't covered that material. I mean, that would be like giving you the test on all the dates from our history class before we've actually had those classes. You might get some of it right, but you're not likely to do very well. And it's certainly not an assessment that would reflect how well you're doing in the class. It would be an indicator of how much like trivia you know, just off the top of your head, but not really the way that assessment should work for our class. So the reason it shows up so late here, relatively speaking, is that I want to work through all of this stuff, you know, in piecemeal format before we put it all together in our essay number 1. And of course, we move so quickly in the 5-week format that it'll be here before you know it. June 15th, which is like a week and a half or so away, give or take. Okay, so back to our units then. Unit 5 then we move into. This is a fun one, I think. It has us reading another short story. Unfortunately, just because of the crazy world of custom textbook publishing, not one that I could include in our book. I know it seems crazy, but... so I've provided a PDF here, and then there's a brief quiz. Again, you know, not super important as far as points. It's open book, so it's not like I'm asking you to memorize stuff from the story. It's just the quiz is a good way of sort of making sure you're reading closely, but also maybe pointing you to some of the important details that are in that story. And this is certainly one that will probably figure into your first essay. So important to get that groundwork here before we get a few units down the road. So the discussion board assignment then has you looking at, it's sort of a comparative assignment here. Watching the video for this song called Just a Girl by No Doubt. There's lyrics provided here, since sometimes you can't always hear them perfectly. And you'll notice that this phrase, Just a Girl, the title of the song, figures prominently in the short story, just kind of this weird coincidental, you know, partly coincidental connection that I think provides us a great opportunity to do like a comparative reading and writing exercise. Again, the assignment is relatively narrow in scope. It's just one well-developed paragraph. But remember that at this point, I'm looking for the application of like a strong thesis, coordinating those general with the specific statements, and at this point, kind of beginning to piece together things that we've covered in the class. So it's important to maybe notice that Unit 5 isn't just about Unit 5, it's kind of about everything up to Unit 5, and then same with Unit 6, and then finally the essay, which is of course not just itself, it's everything that's come before it you're applying in that one assessment place. All right. Oh, so the other thing that that I wanted to say is that I hope you are, even though we've really just been here, you know, a week basically, hopefully you're feeling comfortable with how the course is laid out as far as like material and units, the due dates, expectations, how to like submit things, you know, you're feeling comfortable with the technology and with the layout of the course itself. That, like I said earlier, is one of the initial things that you really want to get out of the way, so it's not something that's dogging you as you're trying to do the units, which really get more and more kind of involved the further we go, which makes sense, right? Okay, so as always, if you have questions or concerns, be in touch with me, and I will talk with everybody soon.